Hi everyone, I'm Mara Webster with SAG-AFTRA Foundation, and thank you so much for tuning in to watch another one of our Conversations at Home videos today. Before I hand over to the wonderful conversation that we have today, I want to remind everyone watching these videos that the SAG-AFTRA Foundation is a nonprofit organization, and as such, we're continuing to raise funds for our COVID-19 Emergency Assistance Fund. This fund is working to help support SAG-AFTRA members who are currently all out of work due to all of the film and television productions being closed at the moment, and is helping with paying basic bills, utilities, rent, mortgage, and really just helping everybody get by day to day right now. So please check out the details below this video and consider supporting if you're able to in any way. And it is my pleasure today to hand over to our wonderful moderator from EW, Sarah Rodman.
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. I hope everyone is doing well out there and all family and friends are good. We are so excited today to be here today with one of my very favorite actors and excellent human being, Golden Globe and Emmy award-winning actor, Ted Danson. Hi, Ted. How are you?
Hi, Sarah. I'm good. How are you?
I am so well. The sun is shining, and we both seem well, so good for us.
Yes, yes.
Amen to that.
You lower your expectations nowadays for what's great, what's wonderful, and as long as you lower them, you still have a range of everything is good kind of thing.
Absolutely. It's a spectrum, and it definitely has been altered. But we are here today to talk about many things in your career. And since we're here for the Screen Actors Guild, I like to ask people, do you remember the job on which you got your SAG card?
Interesting. I'm guessing it was a commercial. I got my equity card first in New York in 1972, and I can't remember if you had your equity card, it became easier, or an inroad into a SAG card, meaning the first time you did a film, and there was AFTRA back then, so I think it had to be film to get a SAG card. So I'm guessing, pardon me, I'm guessing that it was a commercial for Baltimore Bank, in which we printed the one out of 49, I'm not making this up, takes that I actually made it through. It was the most, I actually went, behind a trailer and cried at lunchtime, and to come back, it was just horrifying, terrifying, nervous breakdown time. It was back when you had, our microphones and our wires now are so sophisticated. And back then, though, and I was talking into camera and walking backwards towards my car, having gotten money from the bank, looking into camera and talking. But the cable back then was like this thick, and it ran down my pants and to my ankle, and then to some guy who was letting it, reel out. And I kept, when I finally did get through the words, they'd say, "Do it again. You're limping. You look like Frankenstein," because I'd be dragging one foot with the cable. Anyway, that was my well-earned SAG card.
You were just a customer in the bank with a limp, apparently.
Yeah, a limp.
And so you got your SAG card, 49 takes. Do you have any recollection of what it is you were trying to say in the commercial?
Yeah, I think it was like it was like you can go to a window and actually get cash. So, it was kind of pre-ATM, but it was that kind of idea. And it was in for Baltimore.
That's amazing. So I would like to ask, when people, those early jobs, are there anything about those early jobs? I mean, 49 takes is definitely instructive, but are there anything about those early jobs that you did, that you learned, that you feel like you're still using today when you're on a set, that like, oh, I got to remember to do this thing every single time?
Well, here's the part that, never mind, I won't qualify this. I was, when I got to New York, I'd come from Carnegie Mellon University, which was my first acting in life. I acted for a minute at Stanford in a play, transferred, fell so in love, I transferred to Carnegie Tech, which had a great acting department, and that was my only acting, but I was in love with acting. And then I went to New York, and it was like, I didn't care if I was in a class or an extra in a commercial, it was all acting, and I was so thrilled to be acting. I still have that feeling. This isn't quite what you're asking me, but I still get thrilled going through the gates at Universal and turning right on, what do I turn on? Jimmy Stewart Avenue, crossover Gregory Peck Street. And, I'm literally thrilled to see a guard gate at a studio. And I had that same flush of excitement in the first job I did, maybe minus the Baltimore bank, horror story. But so that sense of excitement and not gratitude, but gratitude that I get to do this is still very much with me. I think, in the beginning, like most people, you're full of technique that you've learned,
right?
Which is great. Glad you have it, but it takes you a while to either earn or realize that you need to have a certain requisite disrespect for the material, so that you're not tilting too far forward. So I learned a lot of things that I still struggle with remembering, because I tilted, I think, way too far forward in the beginning to be a nice actor, to give the director everything they wanted, which is problematic.
It's useful for the director, but maybe less useful for your performance. But I want to talk about Carnegie Mellon for a minute, because obviously this is a storied institution that has given us many actors, directors, playwrights, people in the creative arts community. I'm imagining that experience for you, that time for you, was very enriching. Like, to be surrounded by so many people with a common cause.
Yes, also, it was, dear Lord God, thank you for inventing something called acting, because I had no idea what to do. I was not an academic, even though I somehow tested well and got into, good schools and all of that. I remember sitting at Stanford at first. I had somehow gotten into an advanced placement English class, because in high school I tested well, because I didn't really care. It was more of a game to me. So I got in this advanced placement exam, and not only could I not the first day understand what the professor was saying, I couldn't even understand the question the student next to me had asked. So I was clearly, so grateful that acting came along. I rambled so much, I can't remember your question.
Well, just that Carnegie Mellon, you founded, as I'm sure many people.
Yes. Oh my God, it was heaven. It was heaven sent to me personally. I could not, and I didn't have to do any of, as a transfer student, I didn't have to do freshman English or history or something. I just did pure theater. So I'd get up at 8, and fall into bed at midnight, and could not be happier. I was just in heaven. I couldn't believe it.
Now, did you have a favorite role in college that you couldn't believe that you had gotten?
No, I wasn't that guy. I didn't get them.
Oh.
Carnegie, no, it's fine. It worked out, but it was like everyone at Carnegie it was a classic training. You were trained to get out into the repertory system, which meant Shakespeare and the classics. Somehow I was the only student, I think, in my class that did not actually end up in a Shakespearean play. I somehow always didn't. So when you say Shakespeare, or if I'm talking to my friend Sam Waterston, I just pretend that I'm an actor like he is. It still terrifies me. I did a I think it was Joe Orton play, What the Butler Saw, on the main stage of Carnegie my senior year. And it was very kind of a cross between David Niven and Dick Van Dyke. And we have to go back to Dick Van Dyke at some point in this conversation. Kind of role. And it was like, oh, I don't think I knew it, but looking back, that light comedy, tap dance is something that I've done a lot of. in
right.
life.
Tapped into. And it's so interesting that you mentioned Dick Van Dyke, because obviously he's somebody I'm assuming is a hero of yours. And I'm guessing that you have met him in your lifetime and been able to interact with him.
There was a period where he would see me at an event and like pretend to be talking to somebody else because I stalked him so many times. I would, wrap my arms around him and hug him. It was like, and here's why. At Stanford University, I went to a prep school, all boys school in Connecticut. Strange upbringing. Grew up in Arizona, prep school in Connecticut, Stanford for 2 years. But my freshman year, I had got my first television set. I grew up with no TV.
Wow.
None. Yeah, I know, none. Which is why I will turn on the TV now and watch, a Japanese cooking show and just be fine, even if I can't understand it. So my first TV, literally, was a little black and white, floor console that I put in my dorm room with my best friend, and I finally hooked it up into a teacher's cable next door without him knowing. I kind of tapped into his cable, and I turned it on, and it was 11 o'clock in the morning, and it was a rerun of the Dick Van Dyke Show. Mm-hmm. And every morning at Stanford, I would wake up around that time, turn on the Dick Van Dyke Show, just be gobsmacked by what I was seeing. And then I had a tree stump, and I'd get up and do a little go-go dance. This is 1968. I turn on some loud music, dance on my tree stump for a while. Then I get on my bicycle and ride down to the Stanford quad to see if I had any classes left over that I might drop into. That was my academic life at Stanford.
Sounds pretty sweet. Not maybe sort of like the most scholarship happening,
yeah.
But for you, what you need.
But I found acting. I followed a young lady. I asked a young lady who was working in the cafeteria if she would finally get the nerve. I asked her to have a cup of coffee with me. We went to get a cup of coffee, and she jumped up and went, "Oh, I have an audition for a play." And I went, "Can I come with you?" Just to want to be with her. And we went, and to stay in the room, I had to audition. And I made something up, and people laughed, and it was like, oh, I got the smallest part you could get and be in the play. It was a Bertolt Brecht play called Man ist Mann, and I was the fourth rifle carrier from the left. But oh my God, literally, the light bulb in life went off. I moved my station wagon to the back of the studio and slept in the back next to the theater and never left until I transferred to Carnegie.
Wow. So that fearlessness for that first audition, I love that it was totally inspired essentially by Lost, is what it sounds like. Maybe
yes,
not
thank you.
specifically, but a romantic interest.
Yes. Her name was Beth, and I want to just give a shout out to Beth.
Thanks, Beth.
Beth, who never saw me again, so she dodged a bullet, but I do owe her, my life. Thank you, Beth.
I'll get her a muffin basket or something after this, just like 1-800-FLOWERS. I'm just saying. So you have this fearlessness because you are young and you are excited and you get your first laugh. But does that fearlessness stay with you? Because auditions, I think, are something that people are terrified by. They keep doing them, but they are frightened by them. And for, I'm assuming, a good portion of your career, you had to keep auditioning. I'm guessing.
Yes, I'm checking out to see whether this is something I just say when asked that question over the years, or whether it's true. But by and large, yes, sometimes I get terrified, but by and large, I've always loved to audition. It was exciting for me, even when I didn't get it. And in New York, I couldn't get arrested, especially for theater. And even later in life, to this day, if somebody says, "Oh, will you be in this?" Because at this point, people usually offer you the role.
Right.
Part of me, and I did this with Becquer, with my friend Dave Hackle. I said, let's have a reading. no contract, no nothing. And we both promise each other that we will be okay if either one of us says this doesn't work. Because when you audition, I always had, especially more later in life, when I had some degree of, getting work. In the beginning, it's hard because it's like catch-22. You just can't get anything, But I always held auditioning as a chance for me to go, is this part a good fit? Because if it's not a good fit and you get the job,
right,
you're going to suck, or is this material good? Because if you're good and the material sucks, you suck, so it's all, you should not in an arrogant way, you should hold this as an opportunity for you to check out whether this is what you should be doing.
right.
Because we're also focused on, will they like me? Will they hire me? That you kind of forget, and I do want to talk about auditioning a little more, but you forget this is your opportunity as well. You have to not be arrogant about that. But, that's true.
Yeah, sometimes
Can I tell you
investing in something terrible at the beginning can be good for you, right? I mean, to be good in something bad, you get the potential headline of that. Like Ted Danson, oh my God, this movie look for this kid. He's so great. Like because you stand out from the pack when you don't have as many choices at the beginning, right? But once you get to a certain point, you do have to be thinking about, does this work?
The play is the thing.
Right.
If you're in a great play, a great movie, a great whatever, you wear the laurels as much as anyone else. Mm-hmm. That's my philosophy. If you're standing in a two-shot with somebody who has a great joke, people think you're hilarious, even though it was not your joke. So it's relax. Just be around good material, and you'll be fine.
Right, stay in good company. But you wanted to say something else about auditioning, which I love, because I know it's really difficult for some people as much as they.
Yeah, I had a teacher out. He wasn't a teacher. He was a friend, but became a very wise mentor, even though we were slightly combative at times, but not combative, but his name is Dan Fossey, and he started something in New York called the Actors Institute, and it moved to LA, and then it moved all over the world. And when I first got here to LA, when I moved from New York, he asked me to run, and my wife at that time, to run the Actors Institute, to start out there in LA, and here in LA too. Anyway, I was over my head. I was the last person who should be doing it, but I was so focused on that going out and auditioning was like easy compared to trying to be this person I wasn't for him. But one of the things he said that I thought was brilliant was, everybody wants you to be when you walk in the door, the producers, writers, director are praying that you are the person so they can stop looking. They're praying that you're right, And if you're not, it's because your ear was too big, they have an uncle that looks like, whatever. You never know why. So don't go there. So you walk into the room, and this is not literal, but you walk into the room and you say, without saying it, you say, you can relax. I'm here. This is going to be great. Then you do it. You don't say those words, and you're not doing that arrogantly, but you come in with that attitude. I know you're
energy. You radiate the energy of I am.
Yes. Because a lot of people show up in the room with an FU kind of attitude, because they're angry, they're scared, they're whatever. Reassure the people right off the bat. This is gonna be great. Then do your acting. Then after the acting, you go, wasn't that great, without saying those words. And then say, thank you, but I have something so much more important to get to. This has been fun. I love you. Bye. Whew. But that's the attitude,
Right.
And I think part of me bought into that. I've always loved auditioning, even in the beginning, because once again, it was a chance to act.
Right, exactly.
Got to act. You were acting at least. Yeah.
Yeah, and auditioning is acting. Like if you look at it, that time that you're there, that you are acting, like have fun, play, you know?
Yeah.
But one of the things I love about your career specifically is that in the higher profile things that you did at the beginning, the Onion Field, Body Heat, these things were really, very good, talk about quality material, and be really kind of dark, so different from what sort of you ended up becoming known for. And I'm curious if I don't know if change is the right word. You go to the jobs that you want to go. You go to the jobs that you are offered in some respects at the beginning. But was it a conscious effort at any point after that to say, I want to be funny now?
No, there was a period where, I mean, obviously Cheers, you and I are talking right now because of Cheers. I mean, Cheers was such an amazing passport to the world for me. It was astounding for all of us. You know, so typecasting is, I think, is when you don't try to do something different and you keep trying to do what you did last time because people want you to do that. If you're paying money, you go, oh, he can do that. I want him to do that for this. So, so you're partially responsible for making sure that that doesn't happen. But later, when I had more my choice involved, there'd be times where I was like, all right, I've stayed too long at the half-hour comedy party. I'm not funny to myself anymore. This is not working. You know, so along comes the Damages, which is funny, but nevertheless dark. You know, and it's relaxing, and it's see, I find comedy hard.
I love that you say that doing something like Damages is relaxing.
Oh, it is. It is.
No, but
Especially,
it's so great. I think it's instructive to people that how hard comedy is. Like people say comedy is hard, but like you don't know, it's so hard.
it's this is funny. This isn't, you know, and you have to find that funny that matches the right tone, that matches da-da-da. And then you have to do all of that to a metronome, you know. It's got, you know, there is a dance step to comedy, especially half hour, you know. There's always a rhythm, there is. And so, yeah, you don't get to be indulgent, you know. Drama, you can show up drunk, divorced, depressed, and the camera goes, woo, whoa, you're interesting, you know.
So can we assume that you did all of those things? Showed up drunk, divorced?
Not drunk.
Okay.
Depressed and divorced, yes, I have done that.
It all helps the work. But I mean, that leads me to my next question when we talk about characters that for sort of physiognomy, like they have to be you, a little bit you to some extent. So the character can be very temperamentally different than you are. But there's probably, generally speaking, some of you in every character, or do you feel like you try to obscure yourself completely?
No, I don't try to obscure myself. And I don't know if that's a choice or my skill sets limiting or whatever. There are very few actors in my mind who disappear so successfully. And they're magnificent people. I mean, you look at Alec Guinness, you know, you can't quite believe. And yet he is working Sandy Meisner moment to moment, or at least feels to be on film. And yet he is a different creature every moment. Right now, I don't know if I think it was Sandy Meisner that said, you know, it takes 25 years to become an actor. So I'm always astounded when I see these young people who are like brilliant,
right?
You know, and somehow missed having to do 25 years before they became a really great actor. But nowadays, for me, I'm sure I have the technique and I have the somewhere back in my brain. But to me, it's like trying the words on over and over and over again until the words start to inform me. And it's almost as if that's the work that the character does, and that I do on character. Obviously, if the character has a limp, I learn to limp or a dialect or something. But if it's not a skill set that the character has that I don't, I feel like the words washing over you like music start to inform you and take you, you know, someplace that you wouldn't have been able to imagine, pre-imagine, you know. That necessitates really good writing, purposeful writing. So my motto nowadays is find the most creative people in the room and then ask very nicely if you can be part of it, and don't worry about the size of the part or the money. Be part of really interesting, creative people's visions. And then things tend to work out, you know.
Absolutely. You've been very fortunate in that regard. And talking about not worrying about the size of the part, one of the things that you were in the last couple of years that I absolutely loved, and you had a very small part in, was a film called Hearts Beat Loud with Nick Offerman and Kirsten.
Nick.
It was such a beautiful father-daughter story that you just had this small part in, a sort of familiar part in. And so I'm curious, when you do have something, I mean, which is like that, is that the same thing, or is that you're just doing a favor for a friend, or you're doing it?
I was doing it for Nick, but not as a favor. Nick and I kind of bumped into each other on Fargo, and I was kind of, wait, who is this interesting creature, you know, who's such a bundle of amazing, what look like contradictions, you know, his taciturn look, his unbelievably funny sense of humor, his skill sets. He's a professional carpenter. I mean, fine carpentry. He's written these amazing books. He's married to the amazing Megan. He's like all of these things. So I was like, wait, who are you? And then later, you know, we stayed in touch a little bit. He called or texted or whatever, asking me if I would come spend a couple of days with him and play his buddy in a bar. So I was like, yeah, I want to be around you. It wasn't the condescending doing a friend a favor as much as it was, I want to play, you know? Yeah. And I got to watch him. I hope this comes out right, but I got to watch him go from, and I hope this may be wrong, but from a character actor to this leading man.
Absolutely.
And watch him do it with such grace and vulnerability. And I just thought that was a really interesting film. And I thought everyone did a great job. It was about creativity being on camera. You watched people create a song. That's cool. Yeah. So anyway.
Such a beautiful film. Yeah. I love that you still want to do things like that when you could easily say, I'm happy to go see that film or watch that film, but that you want to be in it, that there's no part is too small, truly.
Yeah, as long as you're hanging out with creative people.
Right, exactly.
Who can give you work later on. You know, I mean, let's be real.
Absolutely, be realistic. And I want to talk quickly about Michael and The Good Place, which, as you know, we've spoken before. I'm such a fan of the show and of that character and your performance on that show and how transformative it is. And you said a minute ago that, you know, it takes 25 years and that people maybe don't generally obscure themselves, but I will keep saying this, the difference and the distance between Sam Malone and Michael Reelman is so far. And it is, I believe that people who never saw Cheers see a completely different person on The Good Place than they
see. But that's Mike Schur. Yeah. That's Mike Schur saying, you need to do this with these words, which were really elevated and stylized. You know, it was almost like we were doing very stylized children's theater that adults loved as well. You know, it was very strange kind of, and hard. It was really hard, but it was like saying, okay, Mike, I'm going to go on this journey. And then you throw yourself into the words. And at first you're just learning them and you're trying to get your brain around them. And then you go, wait, what am I really saying? And then you start, oh, I'm really meaning this. So if I'm really meaning this, I will throw myself, Ted, and everything that Ted is into it, you know. And I'm sure there's a part of a lot of what I do that my father tags along and seeps into what I'm doing on certain things, you know. And then also there's, how do you be funny in this part? Where's the humor? I always talk to writers. I feel like there's I know this is funny, and I draw my funny gun, and then I go click, 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 shit. I don't, I need to know, I need my funny bullets. And I know there's so you just learn all these things about, you need to keep the rhythm, there's music, you need to say these words and mean them. And you need to look what I'm doing. I'm what this character's doing. And all of a sudden, if you throw yourself into it, I haven't seen it all played back yet. I've seen it once, but usually I'm judging myself horribly. I do want to see it again. And I know we all went to different places as a result of what was asked of us. So I'm not playing humble pie. I'm saying for me, it's words, the ability to throw yourself into a part and not worry, which came with time, and then see where it takes you. It really is like rehearse the dance step, and all of a sudden the dance step is informing you and taking you places you never went,
Right. Learn the choreography and then watch where it takes you. And
yeah.
Before I let you go, I want to ask about...
Wait, I'm just starting. No, I have so much to offer the world. Where are we going? What are you doing?
Do this. So I want to ask about your two-actor family, and I'm curious if you and Mary spend much time. I mean, that could be potentially super boring, but do you spend much time sort of when you are both working, running lines with each other, talking about your approaches, talking about your character?
I don't think we talk about our approaches anymore, and we're both kind of different. I don't know what her little magic thing is. Man, my wife, Mary Steenburgen, when she goes to acting heaven, she goes to this place that is like, is ethereal. It's like, I don't know how she got there. It's like, I saw her recently do a couple of days with Guillermo del Toro movie that's being shot.
Wow.
In the process of being shot right now. And it was like, it was 2 or 3 scenes, and I could not believe where she went. Anyway, I don't know how she does that. We do run lines with each other, which is fun. And we, depending on who's grumpy at that particular time in the evening and who's not, we may direct each other a little too much. Or withhold praise while we're running lines, and then what's wrong? All right, fine. Tell me what, So we have worked together where directors have stopped a scene and go, hold on, I'm the director. You all need to stop talking to each other. So we don't spend a lot of time anymore on our careers with each other. We'd much rather, interior decorate or a room or,
Married. You'd much rather just be married.
Yeah, married and be silly and grandkids and life, We have a little, when we met, we were lucky. We struggled in life like everyone does to understand relationship and marriage. And right before we met each other, we both had this similar thought. Well, obviously a failure at relationship. This is not where I'm supposed to be. And then we found each other. So we celebrated all the time. But when we got together, we said, I'm okay with 90, 92%, 95% joy. 5% will do the hard stuff. That's fine. But no, we want to be joyful. And by and large, we work at that consciously, So yeah, we just play a lot. We play with each other a lot.
Right, yeah. Play, that's the key. And I want to know what the key to playing yourself on Curve is, because that's so not you.
No, but I have a job. My job, first off, is, allowed Larry to do whatever he wants with me. I spent a whole season not knowing that I was the asshole of the show that year. And I literally walked by, can't say that?
You just let him make you the asshole. And
well, no, I didn't know. I actually got to, I walked by these Larry and this actress talking, and I go into a drop of my dry cleaning, and I come back. And it was like, hey, that was all the moment I understood. But then one time I got to my mark too soon. I didn't time it well, and I heard, oh, Ted Danson. Oh, I know. He's such an asshole, right? Yeah, oof, such an asshole. And it was like, wait, what? And somebody pulled me aside and went, you don't know?
Wow. And yet you still are friends. God bless you, Ted Danson.
Not in public. I don't want to hand him that in public, but yes, I adore him. He's done a lot for me in life. Yeah.
And so I would imagine at this point, you know, you have the kind of career that people in any sort of job admire, that you have been doing this for so long.
Very blessed, yes.
And you must at this point think, you know, you're about to be making a show or in the midst of making a show when we all figure out how to come back from this with Tina Fey, where you're playing the mayor of Los Angeles. And to me, I just think if I was in your shoes, God, I'm so lucky. Do you feel so lucky that at this point in your career, you're still doing stuff at such a high level?
I do. I feel very, 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 very lucky. You know, it's interesting, this moment, this 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 year, whatever this moment is, man, we're in the middle of the ocean here. Whatever this moment is, it was really, this is hard to say because everyone knows the suffering that's going on. Everyone who's in my position realize how blessed we are, how much we depend on people who are risking their lives, you know, for all of us. So I don't want to seem glib or thoughtless when I say one of the good things that came out of this for me was I don't think I would have slowed down. I think I would have just kept going fast and not have to, you know, this gave me a chance to go, wow, look how you depend on your trappings to define you. And part of my trappings are I walk around town or wherever by and large, and people go, oh, well, we love you. Oh my goodness. And sweetly, kindly, but because they're remembering something that I was in that made them laugh or whatever. So people, I'm walking around, people smiling since Cheers, you know, for the last 35 years. But that's not really who I am.
Right.
You know, and it's not something I should hang my hat on, even though it's enjoyable. It allowed me to go, wow, you really do. You have, you know, no matter how philosophical you think you are and enlightened, you fall for all of this shit head over heels. You fall for being a celebrity, a star, whatever the words are, and you do feel special. And we're all special, you know. You want special, you look around at the first responders, and I'm not just doing the humble thing. It's like they're special. I kind of wonder whether celebrity is going to be less important in our life, which would be a miracle. You know, that maybe science and education and teachers and doctors, you know, become, you know, first responders. You know, if we don't go around thanking people genuinely and not just by verbal thank you, but raising salaries and acknowledging that the world goes around because of them, not Wall Street, not this, not that. It's because of those people, you know.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully this is a clarifying moment for millions and millions of people around the globe.
Wouldn't that be nice? We are human beings, so you never know. But
exactly.
You know.
We got to keep striving to get to the good place, Ted. Every day we have to be a little bit better, right?
Yes, that's the takeaway. Just try to be a little better every day. Yeah. You may not succeed, but try. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. So when you walk down the street and you see people coming towards you with the, oh my God, Ted Danson face, can you tell what they're going to say before they get to you?
Sometimes I'm surprised. And the delight of the good place was that it was 13, 14, 15-year-olds. By and large, I could see that coming. And then the parents beaming approval and all of that. But every once in a while, I'd pass a construction site and be totally surprised by all the construction workers who were talking about the good place. So you never really know, but yeah, you do. It's a little bit like, oh, CSI. Oh, really? You watch CSI? Well, that's the, Oh,
How much of it is Becquer? I want to know how much of the percentage is Becquer.
A lot of people who were in the service industry, and a lot of people who worked nights. So I can always tell that group too. Love that show, because there was to hell with people, especially en masse. They're horrible. And that's kind of, a lot of people have to serve everyone else. Realizes that en masse we can be a despicable species.
Yes, the angry customer service mob, which we are all seeing right now. All right, and the last thing I'm going to ask you is, did you know that there is a Twitter account called Ted Danson's Birthday? And that every day they say it's not Ted Danson's birthday until it's
I think I heard that. Yeah.
Today is Ted Danson's birthday. How does that make you feel?
You know what? I am so blessed in my ignorance. Computers make me nervous. I would, all the social media, we all do now because it's asked by studios and networks, and rightfully so. But I'm two things. It would make me nuts if I had to do it and service it every day. And I don't think I have the skill set. So I do have help. I do look what's being said and go, yes, thank you. But actually doing this and sending it the right place, beyond me. So I don't pay that much attention. So I know whatever percent of the world thinks I'm a donkey. I know they're out there, but I don't have to read it.
Right.
So I'm saved. I'm saved.
So this is totally comfortable for you, what we're doing right now. Your favorite.
It is. Unless something goes wrong with the Zoom setup, and then you've never smelled such fierce sweat in your life.
Well, we will release you from your fear right now. Thank you so much for being with us today. It's so funny to say with us. Thank you so much for beaming into my living room today. It's lovely to see you. And you had one more thing to say. I see it.
Just one thing. Yeah, I just love the community that I'm part of. I really do. And I'm so sorry that so many people are hurting right now in our industry. So many people, I happen to love crews, and studio guards and the caterers, it's such a fabric of my life that brings me so much joy. And there's so many people hurting right now. So many people have never had to deal with food, or just how do I pay the rent, who've worked their entire lives in this industry. So I send much love, and I'm grateful to be part of the community, and sorry that it's hurting so much.
And I second all of those things. It is always such a pleasure to speak to you.
You too.
Enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you all for watching, whoever may be watching. We hope you're well.